Um, we're trying.
Right.
We had a little bit of technical stuff. Good
No,
morning.
what it is I'm out of breath from watching that Wild Hall of Fame game with all those points being scored. It
That
was a
was that,
shocker.
that was
Very,
actually that was
very
pretty good.
entertaining. Yeah, very entertaining.
That was pretty good. I think the topic for me, uppermost. I mean, we're going to talk about a couple things, but good morning, everybody, and thanks for tuning in. This is the Dom DeMarco Show, and we're in West Charleston. Best pizza, best Italian food. Albert is the owner and host, and it's a great spot. We love being there. We start live there on September 2nd at noon. If you're in town, come see us and join the crowd. We have a lot of fun. We talk a lot of football. We have some guests on that first week, and I'll tell you who it is. It's Bill Crackman,
Ah,
Krakenberger. He is absolutely one of my favorite people. And
but by the way, before you continue, Jim, that's like NASCAR. You know how NASCAR starts with its Super Bowl, the Daytona 500. Well, you're starting with one of the betting stars in Crackman and Bill Krakenberger.
and
Best there
the
is.
second gentleman is no slouch either. And another one of my favorite people, Steve Fezzik.
Yep.
We got some great people, and the host will be Tommy Canali. He's going to be mixing it up this year because he's got a lot of things going on with his book, and he wrote a book about the day the music died. That was in, I think, 1957.
1959, Buddy Holly,
Buddy Holly. It was three or four
Big
people
Bopper,
died.
and Richie Valens, I believe.
Right, and that he wrote that book, did all the research. I don't think he ever thought it was going to take off the way it has.
Did it
But
just
it's-
come out, or has it been out for a while?
No, it's been out for over a year.
Oh, wow. I'm
And
gonna check that.
It's amazing. He's picked up so many speaking engagements, and there's so many people that are interested in what happened that day.
Oh yeah.
Amazingly it was a tragic story, of course, and but Tommy did a great job writing that. So he's going to be hosting, and then when he's not there, Kenny Thompson's going to be hosting
Oh,
because
KT.
he's also a professional at radio and broadcasting and stuff, and he's been doing it for like 30 years. So we have two hosts this year, and really appreciate Dom DeMarco's putting it on, and we do it in the patio unless there's really bad weather, and then we have to do it inside. But we're looking forward to it. Our third season. I've been there every week but one. I was sick one week and couldn't make it. But that's 3 years now. We're going to start this year. And the one thing I want to get into, which is like at the top of my list, is please slow down on your betting futures because I'm going to tell you something. I can't keep up with the injuries. And we've only opened the camps a week ago. And the injuries are just devastating, and it's going to make such a big difference in the win totals and who's going to make the playoffs and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You just can't put your money out there and have it sit there for 6 months on a team that's lost 4 players before the season even starts, and it's pretty rough. So if you're going to make bets, you're probably better off on the under, because if there's an injury, it'll probably hurt the team. Unless there's injuries on the other teams in their division, and then it'll help the team,
Yeah.
offsetting it. So, in any way, we have a full weekend starting this Thursday of preseason games. We've already had the Hall of Fame game, which is quite interesting. And by the way, one of the quarterbacks that played in that game and scored the final touchdown to win it and cover,
Yep.
he's out. He's got, I think, a hamstring issue, and
Yeah.
there's so many injuries. It's unbelievable. A physical game, and if you're not lucky and you're not in 100% shape, but you're gonna get hurt. But we also have interesting stories in baseball. Interesting that the Dodgers were the odds-on favorite to win the World Series again this year, and all of a sudden they look old and brittle and have a million injuries also, and they haven't been able to do very much. And it's an amazing story how they've kind of fallen off a cliff. And there's other teams out there that are in contention, and nobody would have ever thought the Dodgers wouldn't win the pennant and get in the World Series, but it is possible they won't. I know you follow all that.
Well, to
Andy,
give you an idea,
okay.
yeah, I was going to say, to give you an idea, if you look at the National League standings right now for the playoffs, the number one seed is the Milwaukee Brewers, who have a 3-game edge over Atlanta and the Dodgers, who are tied for second and third at 71 and 48. Brewers are 74 and 45. And I don't know if these are shown in the order, but if it's this order and the Dodgers and Braves are tied, it could be that the Braves actually have the edge for the number 2 seed in the playoffs, which is a big advantage. So, yeah, the Dodgers getting swept at home by the Red Sox, who have been the hottest team in baseball, who, of course, now have lost, I believe, 3 in a row. But
right, they won every game and then they lost 3 in a row.
Yeah, and then the Dodgers continued that. I think the following series over the weekend, as I recall, I believe that they had some issues before they finally, I think it was beat Arizona at the last game of the weekend series.
So basically, it's wide open.
I'm sorry. They also, and in between, they lost the series 3 straight to the Cubs.
That's right.
After
I think
losing
they've
to the Red
lost.
Sox.
If I'm not mistaken, they've lost 3 straight series.
Yeah, and in fact, they are 2-8 in their last 10 games, and now ride a 1-game winning streak because they played the Kansas City Royals last night and squeaked out a 1-run win. So, for those people who played the game and may have laid the run and a half, that's considered another loss for the Dodgers from a wagering standpoint for the run line, which has been almost the only way you could, for much of the season, it's about the only way you could play the Dodgers because they were laying 250, 280, 320.
Yeah, that's why the prop betting is taken off so much, because the prices are so high. You're kind of better off going on and find a player that you want to make a prop bet, or bet the first 5 innings or something like that,
or the total.
Over and under on strikeouts or something by a pitcher. There's just so many ways to get around. You can't lay 3-1 and 2.5-1. It's just impossible to overcome it over a long haul. You can't do it. So we have, Andy, we have a full card Thursday, Friday, Saturday of preseason games.
Right.
And the way you have, in my opinion, the way you have to look at these preseason games is who wants to win and who doesn't want, or doesn't, let's say doesn't want to win, doesn't really care if they win. And
those are the smart. Those are largely, with the exception of John Harbaugh, those are the smart coaches who don't care about winning. They care about making sure that they know who their starters are, and they want to get their best 53-man rosters for the start of the season, and don't want to show too much. And basically, their main concern, aside from having the best rosters, and there's only so much you can do to control it, avoid injuries.
Yeah. Now, of course, John is he's now the coach. Now, here's interesting though. That game, Minnesota opened a 1.5-point favorite, and the Giants are now the 1.5-point favorite. And he is the
Harbaugh factor.
Yeah, that's the opposite of what we're talking about. He actually not the opposite. It is actually what we're talking about. He always wins.
Yeah.
And we got some, like, you take an injury. Look at Atlanta. Stefanski is now the coach there. Mm-hmm. They probably have the best running back in football,
Bijan Robinson,
and he's got a pretty big contract. Denver opens 3.5. They're now 5.5, 4.5 some places, and the quarterback issue for Atlanta. I mean, Stefanski, all those years with Cleveland, he gets the chance to move on to another team that has, probably I'd say better ownership and more stability than Cleveland. I mean, Cleveland's not stable
That's a low bar though,
at all.
because it's gone on for so long.
It's like 60 years.
Well, I think the last time they really were a perennial contending team was in the 1980s with Schottenheimer, I think, was the coach at them, and they had some other good coaches there. And they had that great. Remember the fumble game? I think that was the one against Denver.
Well, yeah,
Or the
Brian
drive.
Sipe, the
Yeah.
Brian Sipe thing was that.
Yeah.
Was that? Yep. I'm not going to get off of that subject, but right now Atlanta is really struggling to find a quarterback
Yeah.
because both their quarterbacks are hurt. How long?
What I heard this morning is that Penix is unlikely to start, and it'll probably be Tua, and that's not really a surprise. In fact, just the news that I think I heard about an hour ago, and it's no surprise there. Minnesota, Kyler Murray has been named the starting quarterback for the regular season.
Thank God for that. I mean, I'm not wishing bad on anyone. I certainly don't want anybody to lose their job, but I just don't see J.J. McCarthy as an NFL quarterback. I may be 1,000% wrong.
Well, when you think about it, go back to the history of Michigan quarterbacks, and the best quarterback to come out of Michigan was the guy who was a second stringer for a lot, Tom Brady. But I mean, I can't recall them all, but I'm hard pressed to name a great Michigan quarterback who went on to have a great career, especially with McCarthy playing under Harbaugh, who's basically a run-first coach in college and the NFL to a certain extent. So I think McCarthy was not tested in college the way that a lot of, let's call it, Pro Bowl caliber quarterbacks in the NFL were tested in college.
Well, that's true. I mean, you have a great team. I mean, typically Michigan's a pretty strong team. So
Yeah.
you have a great team that usually in the lead. You don't, you're not under a lot of pressure to win because you're winning by a lot anyway. And I think they overestimated what his talent level was because, I mean, honest to God, I mean, like I said, I'm not wishing the young man bad.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's going to find a career either as a backup or something else in life.
He could be like a Baker Mayfield, a late bloomer, Sam Darnold. And maybe it's a matter of just getting to the right team. Now, Minnesota does have a very good offensive-minded head coach, so you're a little bit surprising that his development has stalled. But sometimes it's not always the right fit for the right quarterback. Probably won't make the playoffs, but I think that that's a good foundation for this year. But maybe the coach did recognize that McCarthy is not the answer, and maybe that's why they brought in Kyler Murray, and he does have experience. He can do things. He is injury prone, however, as McCarthy has been. So, the defense can carry him only so far, but I think it can carry him at least to playoff positioning contention.
If it's not McCarthy as the backup, and
Yeah.
that is possible, who is the backup there?
Let me check that roster.
I
I
think that's
haven't.
an important question.
Well, I was going to say, when you talk about injuries and playing futures, I think you do want to get a good grasp on all the backup quarterbacks and maybe rank top, forget the starting quarterback for this purpose, for this exercise. How do you evaluate? How do you rank the top backup quarterbacks? Those are the teams that are most likely to, I'm not going to say benefit from an injury to the starter, but suffer the least in a drop-off from the starter to a second to a backup. So let me see the backup.
That is important. I mean, we
Minnesota.
saw the All-Star game, and we know that Arizona's starting quarterback is Jacoby Brissett. He's got a lot of
Yeah.
experience. He's not an A-level quarterback, but he's quality starting. He can start in the league. But then you saw Beck come in and play pretty damn good. Now
Yeah.
he might have ranked and pushed himself into the backup situation. At least for now. But like you said, we have to study that, and that's what we're doing now.
According to this roster, Minnesota's two backups behind McCarthy and Murray are Max Brosmer, who played a little bit last year with the
saw him.
injuries to McCarthy, and Carson Wentz.
Okay, so
who
Wentz,
was a
we
backup,
know he has. Boy, he's a difficult one because he has a lot of ability,
yeah.
but he also he kind of blows up every once in a while
Yeah.
and does some very strange things.
Well, he had that great season, the
Yeah.
year that the Chiefs went to the Super Bowl and beat the Patriots, but it was Nick Foles who came in after. In fact, Wentz was on his way to potential MVP that year with the Eagles. They ended up. I think that was the year that they. That was the that great play that they did, the Philly special. That was Nick Foles in the Super
He
Bowl.
came from a
It
small
was North
school.
Dakota. It was North Dakota State, if I recall.
Is that, yeah, okay. Um, well, there were. Take a look at the. What was I going to say? I was lost my train of thought.
We're talking about backup quarterbacks and
Okay, now
the
let's
injuries.
take a look at Dallas. And you mentioned a situation. You mentioned the head coach for the Dallas Cowboys. His father was one of the greatest coaches in the NFL for many years. Unfortunately, he got sick later in life, and he suffered from some severe illnesses, and
I believe he's no longer with us.
He's not. He passed.
Yeah.
But his son is now the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Now, there's some pedigree there when you have a father.
That's Brian Schottenheimer.
Yes.
Yeah. Marty was the
Marty was a coach for the years, and I mean I think he got fired one year when he was 14-2 or something.
Yeah, because the kicker missed a field goal in the playoffs.
Yeah, that was
with the Chargers.
Decision. How do you fire a man that's 14-2 and
well, that's been the history of the Chargers organization under the Spanos family.
It's
first the father, now the son. Yeah.
But switching back to Dallas, last year Dallas had quite an offense. They're basically unstoppable. I think they were either 1 or 2 in the league with points scored. They have a quality offensive line, decent at least. They made a trade and brought in some draft picks and built up the team a little bit. The question with them is, do they have a defense? Because last year they were pretty awful. So their offense was pretty damn great, and their defense was pretty awful. Pretty much the same thing as the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of high on the Schottenheimer pedigree. I think the young man is smart. I think he knows what he's doing. I think he had a pretty good upbringing, having a father with that much talent. And I think there's a lot to be said for Dallas this year.
Oh, look at the success Kyle Shanahan is having with the 49ers as head coach.
Yes, and his dad was the same way. He was
son of Mike. Yeah.
Mike, yes.
Super Bowl winning coach. And
so that type of thing is we're not talking about preseason games here. We're talking about regular season. Preseason, it's all about what the coach's intentions are. Are they going to play their starters at all? Are they going to play them late? Are they going to, et cetera, et cetera? Are they going to sit in a lead? And because in the first game, in the Hall of Fame game, this was amazing. The total in that game, I think it went down to 34. It was at like 36 and a half, 35 and a half, 34 and a half, maybe even got to 34. Well, the winning team had almost that many points by themselves.
33. Yeah.
The 63 points in the game. So it really comes down to information. And obviously people were reading the information incorrectly by betting.
They were going with the history of that game, which had historically been low scoring over the years. And it makes sense. Number one, you haven't been in training camp that long, and you're starting a week before everybody else to play a real game. Maybe there's a 4 or 5 day edge that you have as far as starting early, and it's rusty. And again, keep in mind also, in a lot of these preseason games, teams will scrimmage during the week preceding the game being played. Let's say, I don't know, let's say Vikings are playing the Cowboys, for example. They may practice against each other, scrimmage against each other during the week, and then, the Vikings coach may say, we'd like to work on this and the Cowboys coach will say, we'd like to work on this, and you come to some sort of agreement as to what you're going to do in the game. You're not going to be playing each other. This is an example. You're not going to be playing each other in the regular season, so you're not giving away anything, but you're helping each other improve their situation for the regular season by, let's say, facing the kind of offense that they expect to face, or facing the kind of defense they're going to be facing from division foes during the season.
So I'm not going to say it's pre-scripted like a wrestling match, but
yeah,
it's got similar traits to it. But that's what you have to find. You got to find that information. Like Kansas City. Here's Kansas City. They had an off year last year. They're playing the Rams. They open up 1.5 point favorite, Kansas City that is, and they're 1.5 or 2.5. Obviously, there's not much information out there, and nobody's making any real big moves. But it's early. The big moves usually come a little bit later because the bigger bettors don't want to telegraph what they're doing.
Yeah.
But so you look at the Seattle, the Super Bowl champs against Dallas. They opened 2.5. They're up to 3.5, 4 at the South Point at this moment. And do you know that Seattle really wants to win this game? Do they really? This is what. So what I'm trying to preach here is to be very, very careful. If you're making future bets, if you know something on the inside that I don't know, then go for it. But if you don't, and you're trying to guess that, oh, Jacksonville's going to have a great year, all that, you're guessing. And then the injury comes in, and you lose an offensive lineman. I mean, like Washington, they lost an offensive lineman.
Like the Chargers last year.
I mean, you can't replace Tunsil. He's not going to, and he's not going to play at all this year. So all this is going to happen over the next couple of weeks before we start the season. So go slow. It's not, you don't have to tie your money up for 6 months on a team that's just lost their offensive lineman or their quarterback or the best running back and stuff like that. Just go slow. I'm very picky in the preseason. I go just with information. I don't care about trends or anything like that, because let me just say something about the total issues. And why did the game go so much farther over than all the bettors thought it would be? Now let me give you a reason, and maybe it means nothing. Because they're paying these players in college, and you can make some good money by staying in college. You may pick up $5 million, $10 million just to stay in college. And that means you're going to stay a little bit longer. You get a little bit more reps in practice, and you play some more games.
Your body develops.
Yep, you're not 18, 19 years old anymore. You're 22 years old. And so these teams, let's talk quarterbacks, because everybody can relate to quarterbacks. Quarterbacks come into the NFL having played 60 games instead of 20 games in college. Mm-hmm. And now you're more mature, you've seen more, you've studied more, your body is developed. And maybe the old rules don't apply anymore, because the kids, if I can make $10 million a year and stay in college for 4 years instead of 1 year and drop out and go to the pros, I might do that, especially if the family needs the money, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So the rules have all changed, and I think we have to think differently. The one thing constant in life, besides death, is change. And I could say death and taxes, but some people just don't pay the taxes and they could end up in jail, whatever. We have to change our attitudes, because with the nil and the portal, everything has changed. And it also carries over to the colleges, of course, because now they're staying in school. And look at Indiana you'd never think Indiana was going to win the national championship in the past. Now you look at them and say, hey, it's possible they could repeat. Granted, they're in the top 6 or 7 ranked right now, but with the nil in the portal, they can attract better players. They like the coach. They want to play for that coach. There's so many things going on. We cannot think like we did in the 40s and the 50s and the 60s and the 80s and 90s. We have to think differently. We have to change with the times. That's my lesson, or preaching for the day. But
No, that's very true, and that's why you see a number of college coaches in the last few years retiring, because whether it be in basketball, college basketball especially, but also in college football. Nick Saban had several years left of success ahead of him, but a lot of these old time coaches don't, and understandably, don't care for the new rules in college football. Number one, it takes away their competitive advantage because the big schools, and they still can pay more than the other schools because they have a larger alumni base located in better areas for raising money and getting donations and things like that. And the whole structure of college football has changed. It's something I saw happening 20 years ago. It wasn't that, not that it was a big revelation, but you could see the way things were headed. With, in fact, you go back to the early teens, like 2009 to 2012, that area. You saw a lot of conference affiliations changing in college football, where the big conferences got stronger and the weaker conferences got the leftovers.
that's right. That's right. Uh, Andy, we've got anything going on in baseball you want to specifically? I pointed out that it's kind of a mess and wide open with the Dodgers not
Yeah.
dominating like everybody thought they would. Are they getting old and brittle? Is it time? I mean, they have a lot of older players, yes. Yeah, they seem to be able to pay anything. There's no, and of course, they're talking about strike or walkouts and stuff like that. And
Hmm.
I don't know if that will happen. It's probably very likely, but anything there. And then, of course, we got the WNBA with their chaos every day, and they seem to have. I love the play. I love the tenacity. I love the talent, but they're like a drama league. There's something going on every day that's more about infighting
Off
and
court or
arguments
fighting, yeah.
than basketball. But it's an interesting league, and it is growing, and it's good talent. Uh, the mentality of the players or the coaches or the commissioner is a little off the wall. But and then of course, Andy, I know you had a pretty busy morning this morning. You had a client that wanted to join the and I got to remember to join the contest myself. I keep forgetting to do it. Um, but you were running around town signing up a client for the contest. How is all
Early
that going?
morning. By the way, you mentioned baseball. There's an interesting game tonight that I like, and it's actually the first one on the board. It's a 3:40 p.m. Pacific, 6:40 p.m. Eastern. Pittsburgh at Miami, and Paul Skeens, who statistically doesn't look like he's having a very good year, but a lot of the secondary metrics that are used saying he's actually pitching very, very well. Well, I'm not so sure I want to trust the Pittsburgh bullpen, but for the full game, Pittsburgh is minus 115 roughly around town. And usually when you play on a pitcher, the first 5 innings is usually you pay a big premium, and yet the price is basically the same for Skeens at minus 115 for the first 5 innings as it is for the full game. So he's going up against Perez. I think that's no, he's a righty for Miami, not very heavily tested. And I'd rather play Pittsburgh laying with Skeens, listing the pitcher minus 115 for the first 5, than have to bring the bullpens into it and basically lay 115 for the full game. So that's one play that I'm on for today in the baseball.
Okay, thank you, Andy.
As far as the contests, I can mention, because I was down there, I was over at Westgate, which is now being operated by Caesars, but Westgate is still running the contests. I signed a gentleman up for their college football contest. They've got 237 entries, I believe, 238 now, and they're starting to pick up steam as well as things come in. But and they also have a Survivor and a regular Pick 5 contest. But the interesting one is at Circa, where the Survivor contest, that's the one we talk about with the $1,000 entries, and you one team to win straight up a week. You can use a team only once, and they split Thanksgiving and Christmas up into 2-week segments. So the contest could last 20 weeks as opposed to the regular season's 18 weeks. They've already got 8,000 entries of the 20,000 that they need to fully fund their $20 million guarantee. Last year they guaranteed 15 million, and they got nearly 19,000 entries. So looking at the way this contest has grown over the last few years, I would not be surprised. My guesses are going to have between 22 and 25,000 entries. And what I tell people, and this really, and this really goes for any place, whether you're in Vegas to catch these big contests or online books or whatever. In a Survivor contest, the only one who can beat you is you. Unless there's some rule variations. Because as long as you keep winning and you're alive, you're going to collect. So if the contest goes the full 20 weeks and you've made 20 consecutive winning picks, you're going to share in what will be at least a $20 million payday this year. The Pick 5 contest, which have sort of lost a little bit of the luster, is a different type of contest where you pick 5 games a week against a static point spread, and you do that over 18 weeks. And you can have a really, really good season, but because there are several thousand entries that you're competing against, you could hit 68, 70%, and that might get you a top 10 finish, not necessarily a top 2 or 3, because of the old law averages with the greater number of contestants. You got outliers who have that. Doesn't matter, because as I say, the only way you're eliminated, the only way you won't cash, is if you pick a losing team. Let's say week 14 your team loses and you're out. But if you keep picking winners, you're going to end up. And by the way, it's not that easy to pick 20 straight winners, even straight up, because it's the NFL.
No,
but if you're doing, but they've had, I think this is the 7th year of the contest, and I believe the first 6 years of the contest, they've always had a split pot.
How many people are in the million at the Circa?
In the millions right now, it's about 1,700. They need to get 6,000. They've kept that guarantee. I think this is the 3rd straight year, and they've fallen just short. I want to say they had 5,400, something like that, 2 years ago. They needed 6,000. They had 5,700 last year, and they're probably on a pace for maybe between 5,000 and 5,500. It may drop a little bit, again, because, and I think I mentioned in previous weeks, let's say you've got a $5,000 bankroll for entering one of these contests or multiple contests. And let's say you take a look at Circa, and you've got the Circa Millions contest, which is $1,000. You've got the Circa Survivor contest is $1,000. I just explained the format of those contests. Well, what people are doing is they're realizing that what I'm saying is that you only have to make one. Your handicapping for each contest is different. In the Circa Millions, you've got to handicap and pick 5 games out of the, let's say, on a full week 16. In the Circa contest, you just have to pick a team you think is going to win straight up, and that you just pick that one game. Now, it's not that easy, and most people think, well, just play the biggest favorite each week. It doesn't work that way for 2 reasons. Number one, biggest favorite doesn't always win, and number 2, and this is more importantly, the same team may be the big favorite each and every week, and you can only use it once. Like, for example, the Patriots of 2007, when they were laying 20 points over the second half of the season in every game. They were winning those games. That was their unbeaten regular season. But they were covering most of them early in the season, but not when they started to have to lay those 18, 20, 22-point games in the latter part of the season. So I think what we're seeing in that situation is that they're taking that $5,000, and instead of playing 2 or 3 entries in the 5-pick contest and 2 in the Survivor, they're now playing 1 or 2 entries in the Pick 3 and putting the other 3 into the Survivor. Because now I will state that the payouts in the Survivor, they pay 100 places in that Pick 5, and first place is $1 million. So that's a nice little incentive. They also pay for the worst record, and they have quarterly prizes. So there are several ways to cash. But again, you could have a really good record and not get as large a prize as you think you should, because of the number of competitors and the odds that there will be a few people who will have unusually outstanding years because there are just so many people playing.
That is true.
By the way, for full disclosure, I'm in all the contests. I'm in the Westgate Super Contest, the Circa Millions, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate College.
I personally think the Millions is a better deal in both the Westgate and the Circa, because of the fact that you can win during the season when they have those little contests within the contest. And
Westgate, by the way, 11 in-season contests.
The Westgate,
yeah. 6 3-week contests, 3 6-week contests, and 2 9-week contests, in addition to the overall contest. But keep in mind, now, by the way, both the Circa and Westgate don't have rakes anymore. I think Circa never did. I think Westgate did for a while, and then they took it out, and they pay back 100% of the prize pool. The thing is, because the Westgate is $1,500 to enter the Pick 5 contest. It was $1,500 for many years. Circa came in. Their initial base price, which has remained the same as $1,000. After a few years, Westgate went down from $1,500 to $1,000. It didn't have a significant increase over the people who jumped over to Circa, apparently, and so they reinstated $1,500 because they wanted to increase the overall prize pool. And it's done that, but it's done it at the expense of lesser entries. But to your point, if you're going up against 1,500 entries instead of 5,500 entries, and you have a great season, you're more likely to collect a better prize, or certainly a higher ranking prize at the Westgate, because there are fewer entries you're competing against.
Correct. When are the deadlines to enter the millions and all?
The deadlines for the NFL contest is Saturday, September 12th, which is the first Saturday of the season. It follows that first Wednesday night game and that first Thursday night game, and I believe it's either 2 or 3 p.m. at both Circa and Westgate to sign up. I normally don't sign people up on Saturdays because I'm busy entering selections for people to beat those sign-up deadlines for the weekly during the season, and I don't get to watch too much college football except in the midnight to 6 a.m. replays and going into Sunday because I'm tied up for a good part of Saturday. But those are the deadlines for the NFL contest. For that one college contest, they don't play the opening those 8 games on August 29th, week 0. But they do play week 1 in college football, which is the 40 or 50 games over Labor Day weekend. So that sign-up is Friday, September 4th at 3 p.m. at the Westgate.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to be getting in touch with you to run around to the Westgate and the Circa.
All right.
To enter those. Just give me send me a text to remind me so I don't forget, because I got a lot of things going on. But
I'll send you about 2 weeks before the deadline. That's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And,
I like to get them done, because the sign-up process is less crowded, and that's one of the reasons why I like to go to Tuscany to sign up for Circa. Than downtown Circa. Circa is busy 24/7 down there, and Tuscany is a satellite book, and nice people over there, and their process is very, very smooth because they're dealing with fewer contestants that sign up there. No difference. Everything's the same, but time is important, and I'd rather get something done in 20 minutes rather than 45 minutes.
Well, we got to schedule it so we can have lunch like we did the last time, because the lunch was pretty good.
Yes.
Okay. Andy, up on the screen right now, thelogicalapproach.com.
That's where they can find out information, not just about my newsletters that I publish weekly, but also about that contest information. I've got a good description with highlights of each of the 7 major contests, 4 at Circa, 4 at Westgate, 3 at Circa. Plus, if there are any things that I didn't highlight, thanks to the official rules for each of the contests.
I'm going to... Dom DeMarco's is where we do the live show, and we do that for
there we go.
Probably about 24 weeks every year. This will be our 3rd year. The first week, I will be there. I've only missed one show in 2 years. And Tommy Canale will be the host. And then we have Bill Krackenberger. They call him the Crack Man. And then we'll have Steve Fezzik, 2 of my favorite people. And the following week,
two of the sharpest guys in all of handicapping and betting, and they approach it from different angles. Steve is very much of an analytics type guy. Billy has a lot of really good sources and also has a great feel for situations and line. Well, Steve is also very good at interpreting line moves. But it's 2 very, very interesting guys who are worth listening to.
We have some super talent on the show each week, and some are more well known than others. The second week, I think Ken Thompson will be the host because Tommy Canale will be busy. I will be
Speaking,
there. Pardon?
speaking.
What?
Tommy will be busy speaking somewhere, I'm sure,
Yeah,
with the
he
book.
is. He is
Yeah.
talking about the book. I mean, it's amazing how popular that is, and then the guests will be uh, we're trying to get a couple people on that have been difficult to get on because they are super busy, but they're top people in the business. And Matt Yeomans, who's a good
Hmm.
friend of the show, a good friend of Dom DeMarco's. We're hoping he will be
People
there.
may know him for many years locally as the sports betting gaming today columnist for probably 10, 15 years at least, and now he's known more nationwide because he's got a fantastic show on the VSIN network that's
Greg,
available online and
that's
in
it.
apps. VSIN.
VSIN, that's correct. The VSIN.com. They're fantastic over there. And then we're trying to get Chuck Edel, who is
Ah,
absolutely famous in this town, and
Mr. Totals.
he is super talented and a big winner, but he is difficult to get because he is so busy. And but we're trying to get him. We hope we get him. We've been trying it for 2 years, but he
Well,
is
you
a
know what? Having Ken as a an occasional host, he and Chuck are very very close, and they go back like 20 years.
yeah. Well, he's good friends. He's good friends with Matt as well.
Yeah,
He
Matt's
just
a little
he
easy.
just
Well, Matt's busy, but he's a little easier than Chuck to get. I mean, not to deal with or anything. I'm just saying as far as
okay.
appearances.
We got to
Yeah,
be careful there.
yeah. No, yeah. Make sure he's not. Oh, Chuck, Matt, they're both pleasant very
Well,
pleasurable to deal with. Yeah.
Ken Thompson also he hosts a radio show called Sports X.
Yep.
I've been on it. I'm sure you have.
I'm
And
on there every Wednesday or Thursday, depending on upon Mark Lawrence's schedule
so
as
it's
to when
kind
he
of
can make
funny
it.
that
Yeah.
because of Tommy being so busy with his book and speaking engagements, Kenny's going to step in. The funny thing about Kenny is he's also from time to time a guest on the show because this guy remembers things from the 1600s long before
Yeah.
any of us were born. He doesn't seem to forget anything. He's very, very good on the radio, Sports X radio, and so we're going to have a real good season. I'm super happy that we're doing it again. And Andy, I know how busy you are, but we do this show Wednesday at noon at Dom DeMarco's 9785 West Charleston, and we hope one of these days we can get you on the show.
I definitely will, and I would be very interested in doing it with Ken because I do shows with him, but with Tommy as well, because I have a lot of interest in the day the music died, and in fact, I'll just throw something out. My brother-in-law, big music fan, he actually went out to Iowa to the field where the plane crash occurred, 50th anniversary in 2000. That's how involved and detailed he is as far as music going back that far.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, definitely when you get there, you got to pick yourself up a book because the book is tremendous. And Tommy
Oh,
Canale.
it'll be in my Amazon locker tomorrow morning because now that you mentioned it, right after the show, I'm going right to Amazon.
Okay, good. He did all
Get
this
that
work.
book.
It's kind of a hobby that do this, and he never dreamed that it would take off like it has, and it's so popular. And he's got all these speaking engagements now, all over the country, and which is why he's so busy and can't be on all the shows.
Well, there are a couple
And
of interesting tidbits, and I'm not going to give it away, but there's a very, 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 very well-known, I believe it was country singer, who was supposed to be on that flight
yes,
and gave up his seat to one of the three who passed away, and I'll leave that for you to read in the book.
well, I know who it is. I'm not going to mention
Yeah.
it because
No,
Tommy
no,
has
I mean
told me.
for our listeners and viewers to pick it
Right.
up. It's really a.
All right, Andy,
and
thank you very much. Thank you all the people out there for listening in, and I hope you have a great weekend in baseball, football, basketball, whatever it is. And we'll see you next week again for the Dom DeMarco's show. Thanks, Andy.
Thanks, Jim.